People, stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Quick update here for Rockwell Medical Incorporated, symbol RMTI, listed here on the NASDAQ. This is a portable dialysis machine or whatever, something like that. And this company, I was speaking about it back here actually when it was around $2. We watched it drop to support of 1.5, and it completely broke to almost half that value. So if you jumped in this one when we spoke about it, obviously you're down big, but we have a little silver lining on the cloud here, and you can see the stock closed up here above 93 cents, up almost 17% on the day, down about 6 cents right now after hours on news of a 3-year partnership signed. So I just wanted to update the news and just quickly say, in my opinion, if you did jump in this one and it's down again, we saw that I missed it, man enough to admit it, but the shares are slowly increasing quarter over quarter. The difference, though, in my opinion, with this one is they're keeping the losses in check when they do have them, and you can see that they're still coming in above analyst expectations when they report on the revenue side. So, they beat them up from the dilution, and in my opinion, they lost an order or something. Someone didn't reorder. So you can see that we were doing, like 20 mil, and we dropped down here estimates to 17 and a half. They brought in 19. You can see this next quarter coming up roughly 6 weeks from today. You can see they're expecting about 16 and a third million, but if they did happen to come in, roughly a million and change above estimates, then hopefully they can post, 17 and change or whatever, and it could be another nice beat on the revenue side. Off of slightly less revenue here, I mean, they were expecting 17 and a half. They reported almost 19 and reported a loss of 4 cents versus estimates of 5. So I'm just looking at the EPS because they might actually report in line or potentially slightly more narrow again, and we might have a top and bottom line beat back-to-back quarters. But someone asked me about this in the comments, and I replied saying, in my opinion, it could bounce and rally and potentially even get back to this support trend line here of about $1.70 going into these earnings. And we can see that we just popped up above the 20-day moving average here, and we have some news. So let's read that together. Actually, I have it over here. So, Rockwell Medical and Innovative Renal Care announced 3-year partnership agreement to ensure supply chain continuity of quality hemodialysis products. This is the company. Today announced they signed a multi-year service agreement to support IRC's goals to invest in high-quality hemodialysis products, streamline workflows, and help avoid potential supply chain disruptions. Under the terms of the agreement, Rockwell Medical will supply IRC with liquid and dry acid and bicarbonate hemodialysis concentrates, as well as the Damex 45 dry acid concentrate mix system, which is 501k approved. 510K approved, to be used exclusively with Rockwell Medical CitraPure and Dry Sate dry acid concentrate powders. This will enable IRC's dialysis centers across the United States to reduce storage requirements while ensuring product quality and continuity. This multi-million-dollar purchase agreement, so no specifics, but at least they tell you, hey, it's worth a couple of million, right? So I have to give credit where credit's due, because you and I both know usually when we get an update from a company, oh yeah, we signed a deal with this company, no financials disclosed, right? They never give you anything. So at least we know it's for, a couple of $1 million and it's over the next 3 years. So that should hopefully help, as we saw last quarter, maybe kind of slightly help them beat these earnings estimates, right, on the revenue side. So, in my opinion, good sign. What you want to keep an eye on now with RMTI, in my eyes, is you want to make sure, obviously, these deals keep coming in. You want to make sure that the revenue consistently comes in above estimates and that they keep those losses in check, right? And they don't start to spiral out of control. But again, they're slightly operating at a loss. They're only bringing in, like 15, 20 million a quarter, right? So I think I said this last time. If this company even gets up to like 40, 50 million a quarter, they might be net income positive. And then obviously people will pile in, it'll pop because now it's quote unquote more financially sound and stable, right? So in my opinion, that could happen, especially since I know that they said they lost one deal, and again, the stock was getting beat up, and now boom, we get news of a new deal. So that technically is a really good sign, in my opinion. But yeah, you want to make sure, again, the revenue keeps coming in above estimates. You want to keep an eye on those EPS numbers. And again, we may continue to see slight dilution and issuance, but I think as long as the losses and the revenue remain solid, I think it'll kind of like eventually have that kind of U-turn rising, right? Like a rising curve and end up climbing. Again, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I did like this one at 2. I did obviously not see the shares outstanding increasing quarter over quarter, but I still think, in my opinion, it's not going to be a big deal in the long run, especially because of what they do. But again, it's just my opinion. If you don't like this one, you know, if it's down big from the time we spoke about it, you think they might issue new shares, you don't feel comfortable, it's your call. That's fine. That's fine. Again, it's just something that caught my eye. I saw that the revenue was pretty solid. So that's why I said, in my opinion, I like it. Again, everyone's different. If you don't like it, you do whatever you want. But multi-million-dollar purchase agreement, awesome. With utilization commitments will remain in effect for 3 years with the option to extend an additional 1-year period. Quote, we are excited to partner with Rockwell Medical to reliably supply our clinics with hemodialysis concentrates. Quote, more efficient processes and supply chain continuity enables us to stay focused on achieving our company's mission to deliver more tomorrows to our patients, their families, and friends. Very nice. Quote, IRC is a comprehensive renal care company paving the way for innovative solutions to treat and manage patients with or at high risk of end-stage renal disease. We are excited to expand our supply agreement with IRC and build upon our long-standing reputation for a reliable supply chain, high-quality products, and excellent customer service. So, very good update for RMTI today. You can see the stock popped again, hit a high of 98 cents even. And you can see this fib right here. This is a 1-year chart, by the way. You can see this fib right here, about 98.5 cents. So almost popped right to it. Stopped there a little bit, but did close above the moving average, which technically is a pretty good sign. So we may see kind of a retracement here. I think we can easily get back to this level right here, about $1.20, as you see, kind of where we peaked and bottomed right there, right? So $1.20, which would be good also, because that would get the stock back above $1. And maybe right there also, believe it or not, that bottom before the bounce and kind of where it opened when it gapped down after those earnings, you can see that's about $1.50. So, I mean, you know, good news. In my opinion, I'd retrace it, honestly. I don't own it. Full disclosure, I don't own shares of this. But in my opinion, I'd retrace it. But again, conservatively, right, let's be realistic. So, in my opinion, I think 120 should be a layup. And right here, maybe back to about 150 coming into these earnings. And then, again, if the share amount didn't increase drastically and we're able to beat on the EPS side and come in with 17 million in change in revenue and beat this estimate, I do think that should justify a pop back up to support of about 170. So unfortunately, it's been a wild ride, and you know, it may turn out to be a decent call. I was just too early, and stock is down big. But again, we technically did get good news here. Market cap 32 million. Again, very slight loss on the EPS side. EPS 3 beats of the last 4 quarters. Again, we're seeing revenue dip down, but still coming in above expectations, right? Look at that, starting to slowly grow over the years, coming out of the lockdowns and whatnot. We're up. And again, you can see, look, for 2024, company barely brought in $100 million. And they only lost 480 grand. So that's why I'm saying, if they're able to just keep their head above water, not dilute too much, and keep signing these deals, we'll eventually get net income negative, which of course pushes the kind of EPS loss focus, I'll say, out of the way, in my opinion. And then what you want to do is just make sure that the company beats revenue estimates and continues to sign deals. So if it takes another 2 to 3 quarters throughout this year for the company to kind of recoup whatever deal they lost here, right? It's understandable, maybe. But then, in my opinion, as long as we stay on course, then technically in 2026, the company should have a really good year, in my opinion. Right? If 2025, let's just say we post kind of the same numbers, right? 100 mil, 96 million, because we lost that one deal, but we signed another deal. Then going into 2026, right? You're maintaining the deal, you're maintaining the current revenue streams coming in, and you're potentially getting new deals. That I think that's going to happen. Again, that's kind of a prediction, but just my opinion. Let me just recheck some of this. Yeah, debt, nothing too crazy. I mean, it was up to 14 million. Now it's down to 12.8 million. The cash flow widened a little bit. It widened by about a loss of $1 million, which isn't that bad, in my opinion, considering revenue went from what, 25 million down to 17 million. Excuse me for the whistle. Down to 17 million. You know, I mean, that's a big chunk. That's a big chunk percentage-wise of revenue that they dropped. And, you know, to take like, you know, like $1 million hit, it's really not a big deal, in my opinion. We have assets outweighing liabilities in both the short and the long term. We're seeing equity climb up here. We got to 32.5 million 2 quarters ago. Now we're at 31.5 million. Book value per share, 92 cents a share. We're sitting at book value, right? We were below book value before this announcement, and now after hours we're sitting below book value. But also, again, we can see our shares have been increasing by about 1 million or so shares quarter over quarter. So again, right now, that's what you have to keep an eye on. And you have to make sure that the revenue keeps coming in above estimates. Because it could be a wild ride, but if the dilution becomes too much for the stock to handle, then what's going to happen is they're going to bring it back down to these sub $1 levels. And I would be afraid again of a potential reverse stock split. So unfortunately, anything can happen, but I do feel that as we dip down here, we got this news almost at the perfect time to lift the stock back up and get it above that breakpoint. So this may turn out to be an overreaction, as I said, and we may retrace back to 1.5 and hang out and get back up above this in due time. And we know, of course, that we've been through reverse stock splits in the past. But we do know that it is possible for a company to turn itself around, as we saw evident with Fubo. Again, went through a reverse stock split, dropped down to what, like same thing, like 90 cents, 80 cents. Then it started bouncing, climbs from $1 up to 170, 220, right? All of a sudden it's a buy, it's trending, they're beating earnings, they got losses in check, right? So I like this one. I may have just been a little premature, but we'll see now. We'll see now. And I just quickly wanted to switch over to FinViz because I know people like to hear about the short flow. You can see, according to FinViz, less than 1% of the float is shorted right now. So not exactly a squeeze play. However, you can see here, what is this showing us? What's that, the 50? Yeah, the 50-day moving average, you can see 99 cents. And yeah, the stock today hit 98 cents. So it may, again, slowly get back up here. And hopefully we can get back to about 1.5. And of course, when we get news or when they release earnings in roughly a month and a half, we'll do an update on RMTI. But again, in my opinion, I like it, but in all fairness, I mean, 32 million market cap, whether I feel it should be worth more or not, I just want you to understand what kind of business you're getting involved into here. This definitely, well, stock, I should say, not business, right? Because the business, in my opinion, looks decent. The stock is volatile, went through reverse stock splits, right? We're looking at the increasing number of shares quarter over quarter. So the stock is going through a rough patch right now. And you can see again that even when I first looked at it and thought I liked it up here at 2, I mean, the stock went to sub 1. So anyone who got involved took a big hit. Now, whether they can expose themselves to that risk or not, of course, is up to them, really, and their situation. But I just want you to understand the type of volatility and the type of risk exposure that comes with the situation like this. But, just full disclosure. But a lot of you do know that. A lot of you are pretty bright. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So I'll end it there. Stocks by the numbers. Thanks for stopping by. Questions and comments, drop it down in the comments section, obviously. Like the video, share the video, all that stuff. Helps out the algorithm. And subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand markets are rocky, volatile, and uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.